What if I told you the most of your confusion is not even yours? The way you think, the way you judge yourself, and the way you choose your life, large part of it was installed into you. And that's exactly why you can work harder, achieve things, even improve yourself, but still you feel something missing. Welcome to SA Insights Now. This is a space where we deeply explore about mind, clarity, identity, human behavior, and inner transformation through both modern science and timeless wisdom. My name is Sudhin K. James, and for more than a decade, I have been deeply studying, observing, and exploring about human behavior, identity, emotional suffering, consciousness, clarity, and of course, inner transformation. Not only through research and learning, but also through real life experience, through observing my own life and the lives of many people around. And one thing becomes very clear to me. Most of the people, they are not suffering because they lack intelligence and potential. They are suffering because they are trying to live a life through fragmented and conditioned identity. And this video is the beginning of a deeper series. In this series, we are going to learn and understand profoundly about identity fragmentation, overthinking, emotional suffering, focus, nervous system regulation, relationship, and of course, we are going to learn profoundly about how clarity changes the quality of your entire life. So if you genuinely want to understand yourself more deeply, please subscribe our channel. Stay tuned with us. And let's go deeper together. Look carefully at your own mind. One part of you wants freedom. Another part wants approval. One part wants to express. Another part fears judgment. You start something, but suddenly you doubt yourself. You want clarity, but your mind feels noise. And the most people think this is a lack of discipline. No, it's not. It's identity fragmentation. And here is the twist. The problem is not that you don't know what to do. The problem is too many versions of you are trying to live your life at the same time. Now, let's understand this scientifically. Modern neuroscience shows that no single fixed self inside our brain. What you experience as you is actually a constantly updated self-model. Researchers like Antonio Damasio and Carl Friston explains that brain continuously predicts and updates who you think you are based on our past experiences, emotional memories, social conditioning, acceptance, rejection, and comparison. And here is something powerful. Your attention follows your identity. If your identity is divided, then your focus becomes divided. That's why overthinking increases. Clarity disappears and the emotional conflict grows inside of you. There is a network in the brain called DMN, Default Mode Network, which consists of medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex. Here, in default mode network, constantly running self-referential thinking that, am I enough? Am I doing right? What will people think about me? When this loop becomes excessive, the mind becomes noise. Imagine a young man. Deep inside, he genuinely loves creating. He loves to build ideas, creating contents, and express himself. But while he growing up, he constantly hear things like, be realistic. What will people think about you? What will society think about you? You need a safe career. Success means status and approval. He constantly hear these kind of things. Now, every time he tries to express himself, two identities start fighting inside him. One part of him says, this is so meaningful to me. Another part of him says, what if people judge me? What if I fail? What if this is not respect? So externally, he looks normal, but internally, his mind becomes noisy. And he starts overthinking, delays his decisions, and doubt himself. Not because he is weak, but because he is trying to live with conflicting identities. And honestly, most people are living like this. Now, what is fascinating is ancient wisdom traditions understood this thousands of years ago. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a concept called dharma. Dharma is not just a duty. It means your natural way of being, your inner alignment, the way life expresses itself through you without any distortion. And modern neuroscience says something very similar. Your thoughts, emotions, actions, and your nerve systems are in less internal conflict. Your brain functions with greater coherence. That's why clarity increases and action starts being natural. So now you can see the real problem. You are trying to create a clear life with a conflicted identity. Here, the real question is, if our identity is conditioned, fragmented and conflicted, then how do we actually find the clarity? And this is where most people make mistake. They try to fix their confusion by adding more information, more videos, more advice, and more motivation. But confusion is not solved by adding more noise. Clarity begins when you start seeing clearly what is happening inside you. The first step towards your clarity is awareness, not positive thinking. Awareness. Awareness is the key. Most people are completely identified with their thoughts. A thought appears. I'm not good. People will judge me. What if I fail? Immediately, they believe that thought. But awareness means instead of instantly reacting, you pause and observe. Instead of getting identified with that thought, you just observe it with awareness. Imagine you want to start something meaningful. Maybe creating content, starting a business. You want to express yourself honestly. And suddenly, your mind says, what if people laugh at me? Now most people think that means I should not do it. No, that thought simply may be an old survival pattern, a conditioned fear, not truth. And the moment you observe it, instead of automatically obeying it, you create a space inside yourself. That space is the beginning of the clarity. Then comes something very powerful, separation. Separation is the second step. You must deeply understand this. Just because a thought exists does not mean it is you. Right now, many people are unconsciously carrying identities like, I'm a failure, I'm not confident, I'm emotionally weak, I always overthink. But these are not your identities. These are the repeated experiences that the brain converted into self-image. Then comes alignment, the third step towards the clarity. Most people are exhausted not because their life is hard. They are exhausted because they are constantly acting against themselves. So there is a conflict is happening. Internally, it says no. But for the approval, for the social validation, you are proceeding with yes. Over the time, this creates inner condemnation. One part of the mind moves towards expression, whereas another part of the mind moves towards the protection. One part wants authenticity, another part wants approval. That internal friction becomes mental noise. This is why even successful people sometimes feels deeply disconnected. Because success cannot replace alignment. Alignment begins when your thoughts, actions, values, and your deeper truth stop moving in different directions. And this is very close to what the Bhagavad Gita calls dharma, living in accordance with your deeper nature instead of living for external approval. And when alignment begins, clarity is no longer forced. It naturally emerges. Understanding the nervous system is the fourth step towards the clarity. Because clarity is not psychological, it is biological. A constantly stressed nervous system cannot perceive the life clearly. When the body feels unsafe, your brain shifts into survival mode, and the survival mode changes the perception. Then you begin overthink more. You seek validation more, comparing more, reacting emotionally more. It's not because you are weak. It's because your system is trying to protect you. That's why some people knows what to do intellectually, but still they cannot move. Because the mind says go forward, but the nervous system says it's danger. This is why healing and clarity are not only about your mindset. Your body also needs to feel safe enough to stop surviving. That's why silence, deep breathing, solitude, reflection, proper sleep, and meditations. These are really helpful to our nervous system to come out from that survival mode. These are not small things. They slowly teach the nervous system you no longer have to fight for anything. And when survival quiets down, clarity slowly returns on its own. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remove everything that's not truly you. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.